Hey, everybody, it's Chris Elmore with Service Excellence Training with another edition of the Service Contractor Radio Show, which is brought to you by Service Excellence Training, where we turn learning into earning. And as you can see, it's another video podcast. We're continuing our series, Press Before You Play, and today we're talking about the Evaluate with Questions.
Again.
No, we did a few minutes and I forgot to push record. But if I've handled that now, I've recovered well.
You have.
Well, I can't help that you're not that adaptable. You know, infants are like that. They don't bounce back as quickly as most people think. So, anyway, we're gonna. You know what we're gonna do today on this one?
What are we gonna do on this one,
Billy? We're gonna jump straight into the topic.
I don't know how to do that.
Me neither. Anyway, I you know what I didn't ask you last week?
What'd you not ask?
What have you been up to?
A lot.
You know, I want to shout out to you.
Oh.
Hey, shout out to you, Chris Loudermilk. So, as you guys know, or may not know, we also have clients in Canada. And a couple of weeks ago, it was Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving in the U.S., obviously you know when that is. Thanksgiving in Canada is at the beginning of October. It's like, Siri's talking. But Thanksgiving in Canada is like early October.
Like a month before.
Yeah. And so Chris decided he was going to work over Thanksgiving, and he went to Canada to visit with a new client. I don't know why Siri keeps.
I don't know. You better.
I need to get a handle on Siri.
Yeah, you do.
Hey, Siri, shut up. Okay, there we go. So anyway, Mr. Loudermilk here. Shout out to him. He decided to give up his Thanksgiving because that's what the client needed him to do, was come up there. And because it was Canada, it wasn't Thanksgiving for them, and that's why they were working. And so he did that. He took time to go do that.
Thanks, man.
So good job.
Awesome visit. Awesome company. Awesome leaders. Awesome guys.
And they wear ties. Oh, that rhymed. Awesome guys that wear ties. If Bram wants to use
that one's on the house.
Bram, if you want to use that.
That's on the house.
Awesome guys that wear ties. The Gentleman Plumber. Awesome guys that wear ties.
That one's on the house.
It's free. It's free, Bram.
Next one,
no. Price goes up. So, but yeah, great guys.
You want to know what's fun? When you show up in Alberta, Canada, and it's like odd degree outside. You can't say degrees. It's like a degree.
It's not plural up there.
And you get off the plane in shorts and flip-flops, you go to extra screening at immigration.
Yeah, because you're an idiot.
Well, it was 70 degrees when I took off from Dallas.
Okay, wear pants.
No, because I'll be uncomfortable on the plane.
So wait, you wear shorts on the plane because you're uncomfortable if you're not?
No, because...
You're uncomfortable on a plane unless you're in shorts.
Did I say that?
Well, yeah, because you said you wanted to be comfortable on the plane. And to my recollection, every time I've traveled with you, you've worn shorts and flip-flops.
Yes, that's comfortable.
Where do we go? We went to Des Moines in February, okay? Which Des Moines is French for the Moines, by the way.
Des Moines.
We get off the plane. It's like 9 o'clock at night. We walk out. We're walking over to get our rental car.
Walking over ice.
Chris is wearing flip-flops and shorts. I had the sense to bring a puffy coat, and I was wearing jeans and I think boots probably.
Yeah, you looked ridiculous.
Or appropriate. And we walk by this guy, and this guy goes,
"Oh,
hey, buddy, you might want to get back on the plane." I thought you were going to throw your suitcase and murder that dude.
I wanted to.
But wearing shorts and flip-flops, you have to admit it's weird in Alberta. Anyway.
But they will screen you extra.
So you went to extra screening.
Yes, I did.
And screening is another word for...
Are you segueing?
Evaluate.
Look at you.
We're going to evaluate with questions.
The student has become the teacher. Great segue.
You like the segue?
I do love that segue. And you know what? Speaking of evaluating the screen, I don't recommend you screen like the very sweet, I'm not going to say sweet, she was mean, young lady. And is it called immigration? It's not TSA because they had like...
No, because it's not the worst.
Because they had cute hats and
in
vests.
Canada?
Yeah.
Well, there's two things. There's immigration and then there's passport control.
Passport control is before immigration.
No, customs and passport control. And passport control is immigration.
Okay, so
I think. Hey, Matt Hickman, if you're listening, correct us on
Yes. Sorry for not knowing.
that. I see what you. Hey, I see what
It's
you
a
did there.
it's a
I,
it's gonna be a
oh, it's a beauty.
beauty.
I see what you did there, eh?
It's gonna be a beauty. So you asked me a lot of questions. They let me through because I chummed my way through.
Flirking Americans.
Flirking Americans. And it was great. It's been a great time there.
Were you wearing your whoopee?
Of course I had the green whoopee.
But you didn't bring the whoopee today.
No, I didn't. It's in the wash.
Okay, so speaking of going through evaluation at the airport.
Yeah.
Yes, let's talk about evaluation. We've talked about it before. We've talked about questions, but evaluate with questions.
It's the most commonly missed thing
Mm-hmm.
I see when I'm out in the field, and it's the thing that will most dramatically affect any KRA that you measure, club memberships, average ticket, customer reviews.
Mm-hmm.
If you skip this part, that's going to be the thing that's going to most affect, because I fundamentally believe you have not earned the right to offer your clients recommendations unless you know exactly what they need.
Exactly right.
And the only way to know that is by asking the right questions.
And
because you're getting elmowed right now.
No, I held back.
Okay. Because there's always 99.99999% of the time, there's almost always going to be other issues that the client has besides what they called you there for.
Yeah, and they may not even know you can fix it or take care of it or address it, or they may not even know you want to know.
That was rapid fire. I like it.
Boom, I like it.
Yeah.
So I also find that that's one of the most missed things, because it is. And when I'm troubleshooting a business, that's one of the things I want to know is when I talk to comfort advisors or salespeople, I want to know how long are you spending with the customer before you start touching equipment, before you start touching the equipment or measuring or doing that kind of thing. I don't need you to draw up the house. I don't need you to do anything like that. First things first is ask the right questions. First, what are you trying to do here? I mean, what are we doing here? What would you like to talk about? What are we looking at? Tell me what's going on.
What would be the overall goal? I was talking with some guys this week about that, and it really can open up Pandora's box, because some of the times when you ask that question, they're gonna have no earthly idea how to answer it. Like, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna have to prompt them. Do you want me to pay extra special attention to safety? Do you want me to pay extra special attention to efficiency? You guys, concerned about saving money. But there's, I go through my sales book, which is the first book. I think my second day of working at Service Excellence, I went through the class,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got notes every time I've done it, because I've peeled away a nugget or two from
yourself,
from class, from myself,
and people who come to class.
Yeah, from my class, right?
And every once in a while, me.
From my class. And so we could probably, if we really wanted to, we could probably do 4 or 5 sessions a piece on plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. But we're not going to do that because that's ridiculous. You should come to our class, which we'll talk about here in a little bit.
You?
But the evaluation is going to uncover a lot. It's going to help you uncover what their disc profile is. It's going to help you uncover what's important to them. And it might even help you diagnose the freaking problem quicker.
Absolutely. Customers usually will point you in the right direction. One of the things I find with in-home sales, like replacement sales, is that a lot of times, of course, and this might take a minute to come around to this point, but so if you're an HVAC company, you probably have a vendor that you like to work with and a brand of equipment that you like to sell. And there's probably a favorite product in that brand, right?
Okay. Train XR7 Vector 9er.
With the extra snibbling pin.
Yeah, and all the dual cam shifters money can buy.
But so you probably have that, and naturally you want to sell more of that. Maybe they have incentives on selling certain models of that equipment. And what I find is we can go into a house, some companies go into a house, the comfort advisor has a book or a presentation on an iPad or a laptop or something, and there's 4 different systems. Like there's, classic bronze, silver, gold, platinum, or platinum, gold, silver, bronze, depending on which way you want to do it. And you could have basic, standard, deluxe, premium, whatever.
I love the way you say deluxe.
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 It's like upholstery.
Or Italian.
or Italian. Yeah, it's deluxe Italian upholstery.
Ooh,
You never had that before, have you?
Nope.
That's what's on my car seats.
they have holes in them.
No, that's for breathing. So it's breathable. It's breathable fabric.
Makes
Anyway,
sense.
it's deluxe and premium. So anyway, what I find is companies have those 4 packages, and they show those 4 packages to every single customer they go to. And to me, when you do that, you are not showing that you listen to the customer.
Mm-mm.
Because you're letting probably what drives that is probably SEER rating or efficiency of the furnace drives those 4 packages.
I'll tell you what I see drive a lot of it.
What's that?
The technician or comfort advisor's opinion on what they can afford.
Yep, that'll do it too. But
That'll do, donkey.
typically what I see is that's the same 4 all the time. And if you go to like a good example of how I think you should be doing it through the evaluation portion of it is you're getting answers to questions. And have you ever bought anything online that you went to buy something? Computers are a good example, especially like Dell's website used to be like this. And there's a few others that are like that. You go there and they say, well, what do you want to do with the computer?
Yeah. You want to use it for gaming?
Is it a gaming computer? Is it a work computer? Is it just for browsing the internet and sending emails and stuff like that, watching movies and that? And you answer that question and you pick one of those categories because that's what drives the options they show you is because of the thing you're going to do with it. And so if you choose a home computer, chances are they're going to show you multiple they're going to ask you a few more questions. Would you like a 13-inch monitor, a 17-inch monitor, 15-inch monitor? Do you care about how much it weighs? Do you need this? Do you need that? And so they're going to ask you those questions. And then when they show you, they're going to show you the 4 most popular models in that category.
Mm-hmm.
Not just here's the 4 most popular models we sell of the whole line. It's these are the 4 that most closely fit your needs. Here's the 4 if you're a business user that most closely fit your needs. If you're a power user, here's the things. And most of the websites will do that. Apple's does that too. It's a little less questioning, but most of the time when you go to a website and they show you multiple options, they're showing you the most common versions of that, but you can have an endless number of configurations, right?
Oh my gosh.
And so if I go to a house and I'm asking the right questions and I'm spending enough time with the customer, I'm going to find out their value points, which we've talked about on a previous podcast, but I'm going to find out their value points. I'm going to find out the characteristics. And you know what? If efficiency is not important to them, why am I showing them a 23 SEER system? If efficiency is not important in a water heater, why am I showing them this super deluxe high efficiency tankless water heater? Now I want to give them options,
Right.
sure, but I want to let them know I heard them. So I want to include a recommendation in there. And my recommendation in this case is not always going to be the top end. You getting your whoopee?
Yeah. Cool.
He needs to eat a cheeseburger.
Or I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops.
Well, at least your top half is warm.
But I'll tell you, part of that's based on contrast, right? And so
Sure.
there's consumer principles based on contrast. And what I see happen all too often is the client tells my technician or my comfort advisor, we want the cheapest.
Yeah, could happen.
We want the cheapest. We're moving. We don't care about efficiency, right? And their system auto spits out 4 to 5 options.
Yep.
3, 4, 5 options. What I see happen all too often, and I've done this out in the field myself, and I've gotten like freaking called out, busted big time for it, is you either skip it and just don't even talk about it, the top option, or you say, Mrs. Jones, you guys said you didn't want this, so we don't even need to look at it.
Then why is it there?
So the appropriate response is, Mrs. Jones, based on our system and based on our expertise of doing these things, these are the options.
And based on what you said.
Right. These are the options that most suit you guys. Now, you said efficiency wasn't that important to you. This top option is going to be the most efficient system. And you told me earlier that you were also concerned about long-term operating costs, not just the upfront cost.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I'm showing you this is, although it is a bigger investment up front, you're going to be saving the most money with this top option.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's not something that you guys want to consider, we can go ahead and take it off the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to handle that. Not, Mrs. Jones, the system makes me do this and you're not interested in it.
Again, that shows that you didn't listen, even if you spent the time to ask the right questions. And so here's some general examples of how I would go about in the type of questions I would ask, the categories I'd want to know about. And you add to it from the sales perspective. So from the technician perspective, what the first thing I want to do is find out more about what's going on. So I'm going to ask, and that's the key here. The first question you ask this customer should require them to tell you a story. And when they tell you a story, they choose the details they want to include or not include. They choose the information to give you. And that will nail their profile for you. That will give you definitively their profile, because it's the way they give and receive information. And if they're giving information a certain way, that's the way you want to give it.
Yeah, let's give some examples, right? Practical, right? So you say, I'm the homeowner. You say, and
if I say so I'm coming in and you have a problem with your toilet, and I say, what's going on with the toilet?
Chris, it's broke.
Well, hey, that's a high D probably, because there's no details,
right?
And it's hey, or hey, I don't know. I mean, you're the pro. That's why I called you guys,
right?
Or it may be something like, I don't know, I flushed it and it just started running all the time, so I called you guys.
Okay, what about this? Man, dude, I don't know, but we had some people over last night, dude, and this guy came over, and I swear to God, he was a water buffalo, and then he walked in that bathroom, and I looked at my wife, and I was like, mess that bathroom up, and he came out sweating, right? It was almost like George Costanza, right? I thought he was gonna come out with his shirt off, right? And the party kind of ended, and he left, and we were picking up, and I went to go flush the toilet and didn't flush, and I'm like, man, it had to have been that dude.
That's an I, for sure.
Yep.
And again, so the D is direct to the point, right? Not a lot of words. The I, loud, wordy, or wordy, not worthy, wordy, loud and wordy. Okay. And so now, Mr. High S. Chris, tell me what's going on with the toilet.
Well, I'm not really sure, and I'm so sorry you guys had to come out here. You know, little Timmy, he's been putting stuff in the toilet, and he's missing a G.I. Joe, so I'm afraid it might be one of the G.I. Joes, but, you know, we're potty training the littlest ones, so they may have used too much toilet paper, and, you know, I'm just sorry. I know it's kind of gross having to go through our stuff, but is it something you guys think you can take care of?
It's perfect, and it sounds exactly like your wife, who is a super high S. Okay, now Mr. High C, and get ready. He's going to have fun with this one.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be terrible. Mr. High C, Chris, what's going on with the toilet?
Well, you can call me Mr. Elmore. First and foremost.
Stupid.
So what's going on with the toilet is the handle. I actually started jiggling about 2 weeks ago. I watched a YouTube video on it, and I was able to fix it. But now it seems to run quite often, and I don't know if I need to replace all of the components of the toilet, just one component, or if it's a more economical idea of replacing the entire toilet.
So there you go. That's a high C. And so the way he just responded to me, whichever one he was, that's what I'm going to identify right away. And I can only do that if I'm prepared and I practice. So are we coughing at the same time? We don't really have a cough button. Sorry. So however he responds, that's the first question I'm going to ask, is I'm going to ask a question that requires him to do that. And then that'll tell me the profile. Now, other questions I want to ask is I always want to establish the ages of things. So I call these the ages questions. So
wait, you're going to ask Mrs. Jones how old she is?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not interested in that. So, although there's probably some texts that are, you shouldn't be.
Don't.
Anyway, so what I'm going to ask Chris is I'm going to say, okay, so Chris, how old is the house? And he's going to answer.
It was built in 2003.
Oh, 2003. So now I'm going to confirm the age of it. And the reason I'm doing this is because he may not do the math quickly in his head. Oh, so it's about 16 years old.
Wow, I've never really thought about it. Yeah. How
long you guys been here?
We bought it in November of 2017, so just a little bit over 2 years.
Okay, so a couple years. Wow. So, I mean, this your forever home, or are you guys going to move again? It's a great neighborhood.
Yeah, I told my wife after we moved this last time, ain't no moving again.
Okay, so what I've just done there is I've established the fact. Now he knows at 16 years old. It's in our conversation now. It's in the circle of
in the trust
conversation.
Tree. Trust tree.
We're in the trust tree now. So now it's been voiced. It's part of our conversation. He knows how old his house is. He knows. I can probably guess by the neighborhood I'm in how old the house is.
Mhm.
As far as how long he's been, I don't know how long he's been here. What I want to do is I want to establish how long he's been living with other people's stuff, or if this is all his stuff.
The problems.
Yeah,
And
the
did
problems,
I inherit these
or the
problems?
dirt, or the yuck, or the gross, or the clog.
Did I inherit the problems or did I create them?
Exactly.
Right?
And then I want to find out how long they're going to be here, because that'll tell me the importance they may place on getting these things taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
That will tell me, is this a long-term thing or not? And he said, yes, it's a long-term thing, because he said he didn't want to move again. Now I move into, if they don't have maintenance with your company, I move into the maintenance question, which is, okay, Chris, well, tell me, what was the date of the last maintenance and safety inspection you had on your plumbing system?
It must have been November of 2017 when we
Oh,
had
so
the inspector guy.
the home inspection then.
Yeah, did he?
They make a cursory inspection of some things. They'll check a few things, just to make sure there's nothing that's going to break that they think is going to break, but they don't necessarily go behind the scenes and things like that.
Okay. So since we've been here, never, and I don't remember seeing any paperwork from the previous owner.
Okay. And so from that point, what I've done, now I know his profile. I've established the age of his home. I've established how long he's been here. I've established how long he's going to be here. What I may ask, if it's an HVAC system, or if I'm talking about a water heater, or I've got a particular fixture, I want to throw in an age question in there too. I forgot that one. So how old is the home?
Mhm.
And you said
2003.
so it's 19 years old. Oh, well, how old is this toilet, Chris? Do you know?
16.
16 years old.
The toilet, we've only been here for a couple years. I don't know. What do
Probably looks like it's been here since the beginning then, maybe.
yeah, I'm looking. By the way, I'm looking at the invisible. I'm really getting into this role play. Yeah, I'd probably say looks original,
Oscar worthy.
based on the don't get me started on if you really want me to act.
Girl,
I'm so excited.
But so what I'm doing is I'm getting him, and because if he may know how old his house is, but he may not know how to toilet. Because how many people think about how old their toilet is?
Nobody ever in the history of ever. Or how many people think about how old their ductwork is, or how old the wiring is in their house.
Yeah, any of that stuff, they don't think about the age. And so what we need to do is we need to ask those questions up front at some point, so we establish those ages. They're in our conversation. So if I bring up something related to age, it's not just coming out of left field. It's something we talked about. And so let's say I bring up something with the toilet that's running all the time, and I say, oh, well, Chris, and I've gotten to the system diagnostic, and now I'm talking to him about it. Later down the road, if I ask this question here, then what I'm able to do is refer back to the answer he gave me.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, we talked about it. This toilet's probably been here since the beginning, and I'm pretty sure it has been. And I also noticed the internal components of the toilet are probably original as well. So that means they're 19 years old. Now, what question do you think that might prompt a customer to ask?
Is that old?
Is that old? Or how long do they last? Okay, what's the answer? I don't know what the answer may be to that. I mean, I'm guessing that a flush valve and a flapper and all that kind of stuff in a toilet 19 years old is pretty old. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to say, well, they usually last between this and this.
Best answer I've heard is given a range. Mrs. Jones, I've been doing this for a long time. These typically last for 10 to 15 years, right? Whatever. Here's what I can tell you, Mrs. Jones. This is definitely towards the end of his life, not at the beginning of his life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great answer.
And so if I ask those questions, I can establish that information, and it almost gives me the right to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a surprise when I come back.
Right.
And that's the thing we do a lot. And as we talk about the next one later, or we're going to get into settle anxieties here. We're going to talk about setting expectations and how that works. These questions work the same way. The answers I get now, it allows me to use them later. If I don't establish them now, it kind of comes out of left field.
Right. And what I like in this too, guys, is take any product that you guys have as an enhancement. So HVAC will say UV lights.
Mm-hmm.
Plumbing will say water filtration.
Mm-hmm.
Electrical will say a surge protector,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
These are common recommendations that you could be making on a lot of these calls. And what happens is, as technicians or salespeople, you find something that technically prompts you to say, this is probably a good idea for the homeowner.
Right.
Right? Maybe they've got organic growth. Man,
Mm-hmm.
UV light's going to be a great option. Maybe they've got hard water spots over
Well, hold
everything.
on. Organic growth. Don't say that because that might be good. Microbial growth.
Microbial growth.
I got that from the guys at Champion.
Yeah, they use. I was training Ray last week, and Ray said microbial cleaner, and he got rid of the bucket. You know, Ray got rid of the bucket.
What? Ray.
Kicked the bucket.
Ray. Oh, I see what you did there.
Mhm.
Ray kicked the bucket. What's he using now?
An actual grown man tool bag.
A grown man tool bag.
Mhm.
So what did you give Ray? But Ray 6'1", probably
Squatting.
no, well, he's not I'm not gonna say he's not tall because I'm not tall,
Yeah.
but he's like 6'1". He probably goes for what, 250,
250, 260.
and it's a solid 250.
yeah, it's like.
But his hand is like as big as your face,
Oh.
and he used to be a boxer.
And Ray is
So
a freaking rock star.
Do you want to tell him he's carrying a grown man toolbox?
Nope. I will make sure Ray does not get a copy of this podcast.
Anyway,
So
microbial growth.
So you find, organic growth, whatever.
Mhm.
Plumbers, maybe you go inside and you see a bunch of stuff. Electricians, maybe you go inside and you notice they've got all these electronics and nothing covers by surge protector. Right. So technically, this is a good recommendation based on the customer wants, and you go back and make that recommendation, and they're like, "You're here to do a tune-up. What the heck is a UV light?
Right.
You're here to install my garbage disposal. Why are you talking about water filtration?
Right.
You're here to hang my ceiling fan. Why are you talking about a surge protector?" And what happens is, if you don't ask the right questions up front, you don't have anything to tie back to. You're just making your technical recommendation.
Yeah, you don't have the answers to use.
And then you get back in the truck and you go, they're going to call me. The system's going to back up because all this growth is going to clog up the water line, or they're going to continue to have these faucets break down because of all the crud in the water, or they're going to end up calling us because the house is going to get struck by lightning or a surge, right? And you get in your truck and you're like, man, they really needed that. I don't know why they didn't get it. It's because you didn't have anything to tie back to a want or a need because you didn't ask the right questions up front.
And so that question, a great question for that is usually the one I end with, which is the anything else question. So, Chris, I'm going to find out why the toilet's running all the time, but have you noticed anything else with the plumbing system? Any slow drains, gurgling drains, any drips, any noise when you turn on and off faucets, anything like that? Maybe funny taste or smells?
Probably, but why do you ask?
Well, because these are a lot of things sometimes, if you're like me, you grew up in houses where you had to jiggle the toilet handle. Maybe you had to wait 3 minutes. You'd turn the water on for the shower and you went and did something else and you came back, or, you couldn't fill up the sink to a certain level because it would take forever to go down, or maybe it smelled bad or something when you turn the water on. So you just got used to kind of standing over to the side of it. That kind of stuff are things that we can take care of that you may have lived with and don't even know. Anything like that happening?
Yeah, we definitely have a slow drain in my daughter's shower. Probably, I imagine, has to do with her hair.
Probably. So when we ask the anything else question, that's really what it's designed for, is to spur that kind of conversation or that kind of thought. And one of the examples I give is when I was a kid, I'd go stay with my grandma in the summers. Well, grandma lived in a house she bought in 1964. My grandma was the original single working mom raising 2 girls. My grandfather, my dad's mom kind of ran out on her and all this kind of stuff. But she was the original. My grandmother for 30 years, and I love you, Grandma Foster, even though you passed away. I still love you. She sewed the elastic band in the top of socks at a hosiery mill in Hickory, North Carolina for 30 years. That's what she did. And longer, actually, than that, because she was doing that way back when she was raising my mom and my aunt. Well, she lived in this little house that she bought, and I remember when she paid it off in the early 90s, her payment was $74 a month. She did not have central air when I was going to stay with her in the mid 80s in the summertime. And so what we did was she had a window unit in the kitchen. It was actually in the laundry room off the kitchen. And so we would turn that up high, and it would blow through the laundry room door, through the kitchen door into the hallway. And we had a big pedestal fan that we would blow down the hallway to get the bedrooms cool.
Moving air.
And so that was just what we grew up with. Also, she had a toilet that you had to be like, you got to have like Popeye forearms to flush her toilet.
So not your arms.
No, not at 13 years old for sure. But you had to have Popeye forearms to flush that toilet. And when you flushed it, you had to jiggle the handle. That's just what I grew up with. So you just don't think that you don't have to deal with that. You know, here in Texas, one of the things that happens is we put in these units in closets and hallways with free draw returns underneath and no return ductwork. So what happens in smaller houses is when the air conditioner comes on, which it inevitably does for 10 months out of that freaking year, and it comes on high or only speed, you have to raise the volume on the TV because that happens. But that's just what you live with.
You just get conditioned
Boom.
to do it.
Like Pavlov's dogs.
Love Pavlov. You know who let the dogs out? Pavlov.
Actually, no, he didn't. He taught him to salivate when he rang a bell. Google it.
Nope, that sounds boring. Sounds super boring.
You know what? That is a very true statement. That is one of the truest things you've ever said.
Thank you. Why are you touching my chair?
So anyway, with the questions, the reason we ask the questions is because we want to establish these things or spur them to think of things they may not realize we can fix. So, and through all this, what happens is the things that are important to them, those become their value points.
And they get drawn out.
And they get, yeah, exactly right. And so, you know, sometimes we see people that have these robotic list of questions that they want to ask. Does anyone in the home suffer from allergies? Do you ever notice that your water has a strange taste? You know, that's not what we want. What we want is very conversational questions, and, you know, just like I did with Chris. So Chris, how old is your home? He's going to answer, oh yeah. Well, do you happen to know how old this sink is, or this toilet, or this water heater, or this furnace, or your AC system? How old is it? Okay, great. Well, how long have you guys been here? Sometimes it's better to, how old's the home? How long have you guys been here? And you know what? The customer will fill in the gap for you. Sometimes they'll go straight to it. Well, we've been here for about 20 years. And come to think of it, I think the furnace was put in right before we moved here. They may just tell you. So you ask the questions. And if you just want kind of prompts for it, first is the what's going on question. The second is going to be age of the home, age of the thing, how long they've been there, how long they're going to be here. The next one would be the maintenance question if they don't have maintenance right now, and then end it with the anything else question. Now, of course, there's going to be some questions about the system too, like the anything else. Well, my furnace is blowing cold air. I noticed last night it was doing this, this, and this. Oh, okay. What did you try to do about it? I did this. Okay. Did that work? No. Okay. Have you ever had anybody else work on your furnace before? Have you ever had any trouble like this? You know, so there's going to be the issues question. So what's up, the issues, the ages, the maintenance, and the anything else question. And that's how I'd sum it up.
That's good. And there's, once again, probably 50 different layers.
Oh, geez. There could be 1,000 questions you could ask.
But make sure you're hitting those. And you mentioned, we're not trying to create robots. We're not trying to give you a list of questions. But you should be asking a core fundamental list of questions and make them as conversational as possible. And you have your own routine. And so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, all right, well, what's something I can do on my next call? Just ask something you haven't been asking. That's it.
You know, if you haven't been asking, how old is the home, because you think you know it, ask it. And you'll be surprised at how many people will say, oh, wow, gosh, I guess it's about 30 years old, and they're almost like surprised how old it is when they think about it, because they don't think about it. Or, oh, well, the house was built in 1967. Oh, wow. So it's about 52 years old. Jeez, it's over. I didn't even realize it was over 50 years old. So they may do something like that. And when that happens, they're thinking about it. And I always like to say this is the two things that get everything, even me, age
and puppies
and how you treat it.
Oh,
and puppies.
And three things.
So age and how it's treated, right? So how I'm 48 and how have I treated my body over the years? That's going to be how my condition today.
Beat up from the feet up.
Yes. That master bathroom toilet. Hey, that's probably treated better than the one that Uncle Al goes into the basement to use because it's down there and it's not near everybody else, right?
Uncle Al.
But so it's how old is it and how has it been used? Has it been maintained? And maintenance goes into how it's been used. So age and the lack of maintenance will get everything.
Mhm.
And so that's why it's important. Find out what's going on now. Ask that question about the ages. Ask the question about the maintenance, and then ask the anything else questions.
I love it, man.
So give it a shot. I'm with Chris. If just try it, see what happens. Because here's the thing: you're not going to upset anybody. You're not going to overwhelm anybody. You're not going to anger anybody. You're not going to offend the customer. You're
Nope.
not going to look silly.
Nope.
There's no embarrassment with it. You're just asking questions. And the other thing about it is to avoid all those fears, what we always say, because those are the most common fears about doing this stuff. Practice. And again, the old thing is practice till you can't get it wrong. Don't practice till you get it right. Practice till you can't get it wrong.
That's right. I said that.
You said a version of that, just
Yep.
like I did.
So it's mine.
And whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right.
You probably can.
And I want to shout out to Jesse Olson at the Happy Owlet in Carson City, Nevada.
No relations to Mary Kate and Ashley.
No. Well, I haven't asked him that, so I'm not sure.
Ooh, he could be Uncle Jesse. Oh, man.
Wow. Did you just tie the Olsen twins together with the Dukes of Hazzard?
No, Uncle Jesse's from Full House.
He is from Full House.
John Stamos.
So I tied it into Dukes of Hazzard.
Sure, Roscoe Pico Train.
Wow. I never thought of that. Jesse, I know you're listening, and hopefully you're watching, but I know you're listening. You have to let us in on that. Are you related to the Olsen twins? And this is how it works with Jesse. If we mention something on the podcast,
you're going to get an email.
I'm going to get a text from him. And this week, the text was, let me find it, because he sends me a few texts. Let's see. Jesse Olsen, here's the text.
Wait, I'll read it. Man, Loudermilk spits hot fire.
No.
Oh.
He has on his whiteboard, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. And it's Henry Ford that said it.
Tom, he misquoted Jesse. It's Tom.
Anyway, Jesse,
guys,
shout out to you.
Yes.
All right, how do you get a hold of you?
If you want to get a hold of Loudermilk, hit me up at 254-723-7459 or my email address, Chris, CHRIS at servextra, SERVEXTRA.com. Or if you want to get a hold of other Chris,
254-733-7109 or Elmore, ELMORE at servextra.com. Go to our website, which is what I'm going to do right now because it is saved in my favorites. Check out the new website. It's what, a month old? 6 weeks?
It's fresh.
It's fresh. Click on Classroom Live events. Our next classroom events are January 20th through the 22nd. That's going to be the tech class and the sales class. We got updated numbers yesterday on that. There's only a few seats remaining in each of those. And one of the things we got to do is talk about T-Bear. We talk about Terry Barrett in every episode because Terry, he synced it.
He synced it all.
He synced it. I synced it. And you want to get in that class for techs, 20th through 22nd, and then series trying to talk again.
Again, that's your series.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. So, and then the sales series. Do you know anything about that?
I know it's where a lot of learning gets.
You got to wear asbestos suits in that because of the hot fire lava.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
In both of those classes, the tech and the sales series, January 20th to 22nd.
It comes with fire extinguishers, actually, so you can put yourself out.
Why would you want to put out the knowledge?
No, you put yourself out because you're on fire.
So January 23rd and 24th, also in Austin, Texas. And it's a great venue, too. It's the Sonesta Hotel.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Bee Cave. Lots of great places around to eat and everything.
It's a beauty.
And they have a rooftop bar. It's really cool to hang out. I'm not suggesting you drink, but if you want to hang out, you can.
I'm suggesting you do.
January 23rd and 24th is CSR and with your lovely wife, Brandy, who's also a Marine and can choke you out with a fountain pen.
And was an HVAC mechanic.
And was an HVAC tech in the Marine Corps.
And then the manager course, we just jinxed with Mr. Elmore. If you're an owner, a manager, a team lead, an aspiring team lead, that's going to be a class that's going to be mega impactful on your future. So we suggest you come. And as always, we've got a money back guarantee. If you come to class and you don't go back and produce better results, Todd will literally write you a check back for your class investment. So,
hey, Chris.
Yes, Chris.
What do we do here at Service Excellence Training?
We turn learning into earning.
Bye, everybody.